So right away, I'm going to do a thing I think is helpful with these headphones, which is headphones. This microphone. Alrighty, I'm screwing up. So right away, I'm going to do a thing that I think is helpful with this mic and put on a pair of headphones. And maybe if you're used to using it all the time, you get a sense of how far away you should be. I don't use this mic as much as I used to just because I have a Rode NTG5 that has become my main mic. It started off as my main mic, and then I was kind of like wanting to introduce this and try different things, and then it went back to being my main mic. It's a $500 microphone. This is a $100 microphone. So just for comparison, this is the Rode NTG5, and just in here, it sounds a little brighter to me, a little more open. I was having this kind of feeling where it kind of felt like my voice was burning out. And, you know, I got that voice. So it's just the way my voice is to a certain degree. But in reality, it was kind of psychologically making me feel like I was more burnt out than I actually was. There's not as much sibilance, not as much higher frequencies, and whatever the comparative balance chart for this is. It does just effortlessly sound better, but it's also $500, and it's also a different kind of mic too. You know, it's a shotgun mic, and this is an open mic. Just as this is the mic that replaced this mic. This is what it sounds like. So part of it is what you expect from $100, and the other part is how you learn how to use a mic. And I think when I come into using this mic after not using it, I tend to underestimate why I stopped using it. And really, what it comes down to is that this is the kind of mic that sounds best when it's right in front of you like this. And I have a pop thing here, and I guess this is the only reason I'm bringing it. Obviously, the problem with this is that you have to then position it in front of you. I guess it looks okay like that, but there's always this kind of desire to hide the mic. And I mean, yeah, in a lot of cases, people end up going to lav mics where the mic's in the shot, but it's subtle and it's accepted. I think a lot of times seeing this, it has a particular aesthetic to it. If you're going for like a podcast thing, it's no big deal. But a lot of times to be talking behind this kind of thing, by the way, it doesn't have to cover your face. It can be angled. I just tend to gravitate towards symmetrically level compositions. And if you do get peep-pops, it's not ideal, but you can throw a high-pass filter on it, 80 to 120 hertz, and blend it on and off. Don't just hard cut, because you can create other kinds of audio pops. In this instance, I think having it in front of me, it's a little more annoying, like talking into a big thing that's covering part of your face. What's the name of that guy from Mad Max? It's like being that guy. So I'm going to pop it back down. I think there's a lot of cases with a lot of mics. You get up close and it sounds better, but you can also mess up your audio more. And you also get a lot more clickety, a little transient high peaks. So drinking water is one way to reduce the occurrences of those little lip clicky sounds. Really, I think if you're not monitoring yourself, like with headphones, it's kind of like you have to set it up and be ready for it to happen. Because I can hear it right away in here, but if I'm recording without headphones on, I'm not going to hear those little high-pitched lip clicky sounds. And really, it's just about going through and having some background noise to just throw on top of it. So I usually have a sample of room noise, just how the room is silent. And then also just a pre-selected sample where I'm in between words and I'm breathing like that, where I don't lip clicky sound. There's certain times where it shows that you're kind of trying to hide something, like if something cuts mid-breath or whatever, or if it becomes too quiet in the background. So having those samples and then color coding them to stand out from your normal, your dialogue track, so that way you can have an easy visual of where you're patching stuff. The way I'm actually doing this is I'm kind of going past. Like it's here and I'm not going straight into it. So there's a little, I'm still getting that. You don't have to like shoot yourself straight at the mic. There's a spread. And that's the problem with this mic in situations that are, I guess, not the most ideal tuned room, is that if you're getting back, which I made this so that I wouldn't have to try to get up and close to the mic, so I have it really close to me. But if you get back, you could pick up more room reverb. And because I do videos where I'm changing my location all the time, it can be hard to control the room sound. So the video I originally did this in was called Audio-Technica AT2020 versus Shure SM58 versus Shure SM57 versus Rode NTG5 versus AKG P190. Basically, that video was me comparing all the mics I own, or at least the ones that are worth talking about. So it was very self-serving. The problem with that video was that there's a lot of stuff to go over, and there's a lot of things that afterwards I'm kind of like, if I'd done this or I'd done that, it would have sounded a little better. With this one, if I remember the kind of the chart, I think there's a high-end dip. It doesn't have a lot of low end, then it goes up, and then there's like some sibilance dip, is how it sounds to me monitoring it. So like with this mic, you know, I listened to it long enough. I'm kind of like, it's not the most ideal sound, but if I can compensate for that in posts, I can make it sound better. So that's the limitations. That's like working within limitations of something. Ideally, I'd want a mic that I can have a little further away, but it's what can I get out of this? A lot of the times my audio mistakes are reverb. And a lot of times it's also because I'm not monitoring my audio. Like I don't take the time to do the practice. So if you're like, I don't click well. I'm not a clicker. If you're like, oh, well, do I hear reverb? Do I need, which one thing, you're not going to hear yourself talking reverb because you're hearing yourself in your brain, and your brain filters out the fact that you're hearing yourself while you're talking. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but that's my medical advice. Where if you're like talking, you're not going to really hear how you sound because your brain is, doing brain stuff. But if you go like, you can kind of be like, oh, is there reverb? And you can also record a sample, and you can hear it a lot better if you're actually like, you got headphones on and stuff like that. So that's just a mistake, is like moving too fast.
Hey, you guys. Oh, my neck!
Really what it comes down to is that it's about knowing the limitations of the mic and using it till a point where it's like, yeah, I really got my $100 out of that, or this would make a good second mic. It's not a bad mic, but at the same time, I've moved on from it, and I prefer a mic that is $500. There's other mics that might be good also that I haven't used. There's a lot of good mics out there. This world is filled with good mics. This is what this mic can do with my voice type, which is a little harsh. It's just, that's the way it is. So anyways, it's a good starter mic. There's a lot you can get out of it. The end.